everyone. Thank you for joining me again. Today we are going to learn about a man named Gideon. Gideon was a man who was used by God to protect God's people. However, Gideon was not your typical hero. He was scared and weak, but through God he was strong. Now sit back and relax while I tell you about Gideon, the man who won without fighting. Gideon hid his bundles of wheat, for spies were out scouting for something to eat. He crouched in the shadows and watched till at last the thieves and their camels had traveled past. Then he jumped, for behind him someone spoke, an angel who sat in the shade of an oak. And he said, "What a mighty leader you'll be! You'll set all the people of Israel free. Rescue us all from the people of Midian? Who? Me? How could that be?" cried Gideon. Then he prayed, "Dear God, if it's really so, please use this sheepskin to let me know. If you want me to gather my men in a band and drive the enemy out of the land, let the fleece be soaking and wet as winter, the ground be dusty and dry as a splinter." Next morning, before the sun was high, the fleece was wet and the ground was dry. But Gideon said, "To be sure that I'm right, I'll put out the fleece again tonight. Let the fleece be dry and fluffy, and yet let the ground all around be soggy and wet." In the morning the ground was damp with dew, but the fleece was dry, as good as new. So he gathered an army of men on the hill, and they stopped by a river to drink their fill. Some cupped their hands to their mouths to drink, some knelt with their mouths in the watery brink. Then God said, "The ones with their mouths in the foam, that kneel at the edge of the water, send home." So Gideon sent away rank after rank, till only a handful were left on the bank. Then Gideon frowned as he saw the foe. The enemy camped in the valley below, covering the country for miles all around, like thousands of grasshoppers clumped on the ground. And Gideon's frown grew deeper still, as he counted his 300 men on the hill. "If you'll do as I say," God told him, "you'll win, though your army is small and your ranks are thin." And continuing then, he explained to Gideon how to defeat the army of Midian. So Gideon commanded, "Split up in 3 groups. In the night they will think we have many more troops. I'm handing each man a trumpet to blow. When the time is right, I'll let you know. Then shout at the enemy troops of Midian, 'The sword of the Lord and the sword of Gideon.' Now light your torches, but keep them from showing. Put them in jugs to hide their glowing." So with torches and jugs to hide the light, they followed their leader late in the night. As they quietly crept down the steep, dark hill, the enemy camp lay sleeping and still. At the signal they shouted as trumpets blew, "The sword of the Lord and of Gideon too!" They smashed their jugs, and the torches spread into flaring flames of orange and red. The smashing noise, the torchlight glare, the trumpets at night with scary blare, jolted each enemy soldier awake, and in all the confusion, they made a mistake. They fought one another, and then in dread, helter-skelter, they turned and fled. So God's clever plan of trumpets and lighting made Gideon win without any fighting. His people were safe. They shouted and roared, for Gideon their leader who followed the Lord. "You conquered our foes. You're ever so clever. You saved us. Now rule us as king forever." "No," replied Gideon, "for though it seems odd, I'm not the hero. The hero is God." Thank you for spending time with me today. Now take some time to discuss some fears that you have and talk about how we can trust God to help us with our fears.